Hey guys, today I'm cooking rice and peas and oxtail with beans. Now, as you can see, I have 2 coconut here. So here's the coconuts. Then washed and cut them up in small pieces. So I'm going to blend this. Now let me tell you some reasons why I go through this process of using the coconut instead of the one that's in the pack or the milk that's in the can. Some reasons are, for instance, the coconut, it's better to use because it's naturally using the coconut instead of the coconut milk. It's a whole lot better for doing your rice and peas. Because remember, I use coconut milk, but I use it for different dishes. You will never find me using coconut milk or coconut cream in my rice and peas. This preserves your rice for a long time. I'm not a Sunday Monday type of person, and I'm not really a fan of rice and peas. So what I'll do is I'll leave the rice and peas for maybe about Wednesday or Thursday. But say, for instance, if I didn't want to eat it, you could have even saved it, could stay there for even next week, and when you take it out the fridge, it's fresh as if it's just cooked. I'm telling you that. Make a lot of coconut dishes, stew peas, coconut sauce, and I've used the powder. Because that's just a meal and I'm not going to store for days. I'm just going to use it. So cooking my rice and peas, and when you use the coconut milk also on your rice and peas, you find that it's not that shiny and nice like when you use the natural coconut. So there's a tip if you wanted to know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to season this piece and show you how I cook my rice and peas. Because whenever I cook rice and peas, I'm telling you, you can eat that without meat. You don't need gravy, you don't need... I'm going to show you Myss Brown style. So, here's the coconut milk from the coconut that I've cut up earlier. Look at this, this is white. This is creamy because I've added a lot of coconut milk to this. Alright, here's a tip now. For instance, you're cooking rice and peas. When your rice finish cooking, you don't want it to look like it's white rice. Say, for instance, this is like this. Here's a tip from me. What you could do is use a little bit of browning and put it into this, and it will slight color dark. Let it look like what you want it to look like. But I'm not worried about this. As you know, Myss Brown have her way. So, as you can see, I have some seasoning in this plate. I'm going to show you how I season my rice. I have thyme here. I have green onions, and we call it in Jamaican scallions. I have a piece of butter. I don't need peppers. I always use a green and a ripe for flavoring. I'm using some ginger. Look at this. The ginger is clean and nice. Look at this now. Watch this. This is some powdered seasoning. That's the one you use to do the meat. I'm using some powdered seasoning, about 2 spoons of sugar and some salt. This now, I'm going to add a teaspoon of oil. Watch this. I'm telling you, Myss Brown is cooking in this kitchen, man. Look at this. I'm going to add a teaspoon of oil. And this is my seasoning for my rice. For best result of rice and peas, you first have to season the peas properly. Alright, I'm going to the pot to pour this in. So as you can see, I'm adding all my ingredients to this. What you must do now is stir and taste. I don't have to taste this because I already know the measurement of everything I use. I know this is perfect for what I'm doing. So I don't really need, but you should taste yours to see if it needs any more salt. That's the only thing you could really taste for. Just some salt, because it really doesn't need anything more. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to allow this to come to a boil. Here's a tip too. Say for instance you had pour your coconut milk, because you didn't want to waste it, so you pour all of it into your peas. And you didn't want it to waste, but you're not gonna cook that amount of rice. What you can do is you can let it stay there and keep boiling and boiling until it goes down to the level that you need it. But this is the right amount. This is the right amount for the rice that I'm gonna use. So I'm just gonna let this come to a boil. Then I'm gonna wash my rice and pour it in. I'm gonna add my rice to this. As I tell you, this is a lot of rice compared to that water, but it will be fine. Because I'd rather to add some more water later, or whatever I do to get my rice the perfect way. Now what you have to do is stir this around. Make sure you stir this around. You cannot just leave it like that as how you put in the rice. Because when it's finished, you're not going to have rice and peas. You're going to have rice to one side and peas to one side. And you don't want that, so make sure to stir it up properly. Remember not to cook your rice on a high flame, because it will stay there and burn. It's better to use a medium high, and when it goes down, when all the water is disappeared, you can turn it down low. So there goes. So here's my oxtail that I've washed clean and properly with some lemon. Now I'm going to season this. I'm cooking oxtail and beans, but as you know, you put the beans in when it's almost finished cooking. So I'm going to season with some season. I'm not using oxtail season. I've used oxtail season, I've used chicken season, I've used all the season you could think of on my meats, and I still choose to go with jerk seasoning because this is a mixture of a lot of herbs and spices, and I really like it. That's why I keep using it. So let's go with that. I'm going to add some garlic powder, not a lot, because as I always said in all the videos, you don't want your meat to be salt, because I cannot reverse that so easily. There's a little thing or two you can do to it, but if it's well salt, trust me, I cannot reverse that. Also, I'm going to use some onion powder, not a lot, a little bit of paprika, a little bit of ketchup, I'm also going to use some browning. I'm going to add to this a little wet jerk seasoning, because as I tell you before, it's hot, so I'm not going to use any hotter pepper with this, but it has a lot of flavor, and that's why I keep using it. It's not because of the spice, it has a lot of flavor because it's a jerk wet seasoning, so you know this is very nice. And it lets your meat taste so nice. So that's why I keep using it. So here's the seasoning I'm going to use. I'm going to use some scallion, thyme, onion, some bell peppers, garlic cloves, some ginger, and some whole cloves. That's what I'm going to use to season. I'm not going to add any more to it. So let's do this. So here's all my seasoning. And as you know, I'm going to leave this to marinate for about half an hour or an hour. But what happens is, most people, they leave the meat from the seasoning from overnight and left it in the refrigerator so it can absorb all this flavoring. But knowing Miss Brown and how I do things and how I season my meat, I can just take this and cook it just like this, and it's going to come out the same way, because I've used the right amount of seasoning and the right ones and the perfect vegetables. And there is the meat all seasoned up, so I'm gonna leave this to marinate. So here I have a pot on the fire. This is to cook my oxtail. So what I'm gonna do now, because that it has been marinating for an hour, I'm gonna put a little bit of olive oil in this, just a bit. When you're cooking most meat, you don't really need any oil, because most of those meats are fatty, so you know they're gonna spring oil, so you don't need any oil. I'm just using a tip of olive oil right now. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add all of this in here, everything, along with the seasoning, everything. I'm gonna come back and turn this up, stir it around when it gets a little bit of color on it that I'm looking for. What you can do is, because you don't really have any So an amount of oil in there because we really don't need it. Because we need gravy at the end of our food. We don't really need oil. What you can do is tip a little bit of water, just a little bit in the bottom of that. Now here's my lovely rice and peas. As you can see, it looks wet on top because that's a lot of coconut, because I used a lot of coconut today. I used 2 coconuts. So, but watch this. Look as I pick up the rice. Look at this. Perfect rice. Look how shiny that rice is. And as you see, what I had said about stirring up the rice properly, because look, as you can see, everything is in place. Everything is mixed. Look at this though. Look at this. Look as I pull up this rice. This is beautiful rice. This is lovely. And you should let me show you how shiny and nice this rice is. Let I show you how shiny and nice this rice is. Oh, this is all I want it. So now I'm gonna add water to this to cook. What you can do is, if you want to cook it just like that in the pot and wait for hours, then you can do that. If you want to use a pressure cooker and that will be ready in maybe about 45 minutes, then that's fine. Do what you have to do. Cook it your way. Just make sure you season it Myss Brown way. So here's the lovely oxtail and beans, and this is ready. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna add my beans to this. If you're using the beans that are uncooked, then don't wait until it goes to gravy before you start. You had it. You have to add it before it goes to gravy. But these beans are cooked already, so I just had it at the last process. I'm just gonna give this about 2 minutes, and then I'm gonna turn this off. This is all done. So this is my lovely oxtail and beans. Look at that. And here is the lovely oxtail and beans. Rice and peas. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share, and tell somebody about Myss Brown. Also, if you want to get in contact with me, my information is in the description below. Thank you all for watching.